As the world shifts into newer, higher states of consciousness, many people have been awakened to spirituality. The renaissance of spiritual awakenings is indeed happening, but there is a confusion on what this actually means. As the phrase "a spiritual awakening" used to refer to as an awakening that such beings like the Buddha had. But now that in society we have created so much separation from spirituality, that spirituality is no longer part of everyday life, one must wake up to that as well. This is where the confusion is held, so we have taken the idea of awakening and split it even further, as now there are two types of awakening people can have now. When many people refer to as spiritual awakening, they are talking about when they stepped out of the paradigm of the third dimensional world. Whether it be noticing a mystical experience, a glimpse of light from the spiritual dimension, or recognizing that there is a voice inside their head, they have awakened to the ideas of spirituality and mysticism. As this form of spiritual awakening is when one recognizes that spirituality exists, both within and without. It's usually at this moment people then begin to actually work upon themselves and their life passions, and to start questioning reality of existence. An awakening in which many prophets and enlightened beings talk about is a state in which there is no separation. As you cannot directly explain what it is, but describe aspects around it. This state is to fully realize what you truly are, the consciousness behind it all, the source. Nowadays, people must awaken multiple times as we have gotten to a point of non-belief and undisciplined minds. So many times it is that one must have a spiritual awakening to then work to become awake. And this can be seen through many forms, especially in confusion of the environments of awakening. For starters, there is so much illusion when it comes to spiritual awakening, as one might be able to experience mystical states and events, but this does not mean someone has woken up, as no singular experience can truly awaken someone. Rather, it is by diving into the source of all experiences. This is the trap of the spiritual ego or spiritual materialism, collecting spiritual experiences like trophies, mistaking them for true awakening or further awakenings. This trap has been explained in many cultures throughout times as stuff like psychic abilities or siddhis in Sanskrit. But all experience, whether mundane or extraordinary, come from the same source. Then you will see all is extraordinary and all is mundane. This source being consciousness in which one truly is. So many people will get caught in the cyclical patterns of karma and life, believing to be awake, believing they are higher than people based off them being spiritually awakened or tapped into spiritual gifts. But they continue to suffer and they have not learned the lesson and transcend the illusions. Small flashes of the spiritual dimension may seep through the lenses of the ego and the mind, allowing people to stay sane, as this can occur commonly in nature or sunset, moments of intense aliveness with feelings of bliss and relief. But what one might have been perceiving as beautiful, it is what one felt that was the heightened state of aliveness, of consciousness, freeing you from the excessive stream of thinking. These mystical experiences are happening to many people who claim to be spiritually awakened or not. But it is the illusion of the spiritual ego in which spiritually awakened people are now feeling these states make them more. As truly everyone is already completely perfect. As one who is truly awakened is no longer identified with aspects of illusion. As one does not experience the falling and rising of mystical experiences no longer. As the awakened one truly knows he is consciousness, the source of everything, as there is no longer any lack in perception, as it is always dismisses as an illusion, as an awakened being knows perfection through self-realization. People who continue to identify as aspects of reality and still feel as if they are not complete have not awakened. As someone identifying as spiritually awakened can get caught up in the lies of the mind with this attachment. And furthermore, if someone is trying to reach higher states like enlightenment, then they still perceive they are not consciousness itself. Paradoxically, the awakened one knows that words are dual, but to guide people by explaining the present moment, or of consciousness, words may be used as descriptions of the path to the singularity. But it is truly understood and felt by an enlightened being that although these words are true, there is no real attachment or identity to these words. As it is, like Jesus says, I am for that I am, and me and the Father are one. The spiritual awakened person wants to strive for enlightenment by detaching from the illusions that they are not enlightened, a paradoxical game of belief and devotion. Another common confusion is that many people think that enlightenment will happen with a bang. But no singular experience can truly awaken someone. This includes psychedelics and other external tools to help further understand oneself. As this can be confusing for many people who have had the experience of a sudden shift in reality after an experience like psychedelics, ego death, or dark night of the soul. As the dark night of the soul, the archetype of the hero's journey in which he travels through hell can just be part of the process. It is confusing for many, for the awakening is a process. It is just that you may not be aware of the process happening. It's like this. If you were to go to a fruit tree and it's off season, say during winter, there will be no sweet fruit. But you come during fruiting season, come spring or summer, and the sweetness can be experienced. This does not mean that the process of the tree being alive and producing the sweetness is not happening, nor is it that you can taste any part of the tree and taste the sweetness of the fruit. The process can be as subtle as this. It is that everything in life is a process. It is just, can you recognize the process? That is the question. There's another type of awakening that people talk about in spirituality called Kundalini awakening, further creating the confusion of this concept of awakening. But simply put, Kundalini awakening is the neurobiological upgrade of the body through the subtle energies of the body that mirrors one's state of the process. So, if one can start identifying and recognizing the process of transformation within, thus, this experience of Kundalini awakening may occur, as this awakening can be described as the dualistic representation and proof of one's awakening. This process is super unique for every individual, and so one might not feel the symptoms until it has been fully integrated. But really, all these spiritual processes are more like an entertainment, as you can read and learn all you want, debate about altered states of consciousness, Atman, Brahman, your soul is floating here or there, but do nothing about oneself. This is largely just entertainment. But for sure there is a process, one that can be approached consciously or maybe an unconscious process. But you are doing the right things, in which this is the beauty of the universe, as whether you know or do not know, with discipline or with no discipline, through yoga or boga, with love or with hate. If one does the right things will happen to you, as it is all just one trying to further understand itself. Furthermore, there are rare cases in which one can have all three of these awakenings, usually referred to as spontaneous awakening. The Master said, "How can I teach you Zen unless you first empty your cup?" It is exactly this issue in which people are struggling with. If one is full of mental clutter, then the cup, the vessel, is not empty. It is that everyone has this level of genius in them. Just look at babies. Their eyes are full of awe, and all of everything. No thought, no judgment, just pure absorption. Thus people love when babies give them attention as something so pure, giving them a sense of lightness, of the source. And so this is why many prophets say to be like children. But these states fade because everyone's genius is being repressed. The systems in society, their own fears, their own anxieties, their own need for security is repressing this genius, as only 10% of people are finding a way to express it, because otherwise they are being distracted or suppressed to other things. When you are young, your imagination flourished, saying you'll do this and that, but then as one gets older, they get distracted and caught up in illusions. But like this is in everybody, so is the possibility of being wide open. It is can you sustain the process and allow it to become the possibility? But between possibility and reality, there is a distance, and most people do not have the courage nor conviction to walk it. And so it is not the tools in which are the distraction, it is that you let the tools use you. So if you just take care that you are not being used by anything, you understand the limited role that everything has in your life. The limited role of your education, the limited role of your career, the limited role of your relationships, the limited role of everything that you are doing. Once you understand where one thing begins and one thing ends, then the spiritual process is on. You do not have to do anything. That's it for today's video. Like, subscribe, leave any comments or questions, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace! Do you ever feel lost? Confused about who you are, why you're here, and what your true purpose is? Do you feel disconnected, lacking the purpose, direction, or energy to do what you truly want in life? I know that feeling well because I lived it, but through that confusion, I discovered something powerful. The deeper meaning you're searching for is already within you. The problem is, most people are never taught how to access it. That's why I'm dedicating my life to help others reconnect with their true self, to understand what life is really about, break free from limitations, and master their energy. My name is Ellis-Hernandez, and my journey began with a powerful awakening after a long period of depression and disconnection. And since then, I spent years diving deep into spirituality, science, philosophy, and energetic mastery. Through practices like meditation, yoga, qigong, holistic health, and a lot more, I've learned how to activate my energy, live in effortless flow, and follow my true passion. Now, I help others do the same. I work with people who are ready to break through, align their soul's purpose, and step into the most vibrant, awakened version of themselves. If that's you, I offer personalized one-on-one coaching to guide and accelerate your transformation. I also offer online courses designed to unlock your potential. And I have a YouTube channel filled with powerful insights to guide your journey. You don't have to stay stuck, and you don't have to keep searching. The path is already unfolding. Are you ready to step into the life you are meant to live and master your own energy? Click below to begin the journey today.